Welcome to Talking with Springfield Township. We are here today in the studio with Assistant Administrator Kathleen so that she can tell us what's going on with some new development in the township. Yeah. And that's why we have you here from HighGrain. So let's get right to it and find out about this new project. Yeah. We can see things happening on Winton Road. So
finally,
I'm so excited because I can't wait to see, to be able to go in and use it and stuff. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, Kathleen, let's talk about first how this started.
Basically, this story kind of goes back to, well, really probably even before the pandemic. But I mean, I know a lot of people have wonderful memories of Brentwood Bowl. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to the township and even to HighGrain to tell stories about having first dates there and meeting their spouses there and having high school bowling teams at the Brentwood Bowl building.
Or even daycare, which I was like, daycare?
Daycare, yeah.
At the bowling alley, I love that.
No, they had that.
They did at one point, yeah. So to make a long story short, the bowling alley, you know, like a lot of places during the pandemic, struggled. And eventually did close the doors to the bowling alley. And the township has been hearing for a very long time, you know, that our residents were looking for more locally owned, sit-down type restaurants, something that was really unique to the community, that you couldn't find anywhere else, that they could come in and be a part of a community. And with the permission of the Board of Trustees, the township actually purchased the Brentwood Bowl building. And we then set out to find an end user for that space. And it just so happened through conversation, I was meeting with some folks from Silverton, actually, where HighGrain's current location is, and got to having a conversation with some of the owners, and they were looking for a bigger space. They were seeing a lot of success in Silverton, seeing a lot of retail success. And we were just kind of doing the math here. After about 2.5 years, we're really starting to see some big construction happening for HighGrain to open a second location in the former Brentwood Bowl building. Yeah. So when you're driving down Winton Road, you know, in the next couple days, you're really going to see some major progress happening.
Stuff. Yeah.
What I love about this so far is that this came from, first of all, hearing from residents in the township saying, this is what we wish we saw. Yeah. We wish we didn't always have to leave the township to go to someplace like this. We want something here.
Right.
And then the township saying, how can we have some more control over what goes into the space? This happens a lot all over the region. People say, well, why doesn't the town put X in this spot?
Yeah,
and usually the answer is, we can't do whatever we want in that spot. We don't own it.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So you have some ability to control what things happen in spaces because of zoning.
Correct.
But outside of zoning, you can't tell someone what to do with a spot unless you own it.
That's very true. Yeah,
so
that's a great
point,
point,
gave
Dana.
you the chance to do what you were hearing from the residents.
Yeah.
Well, and to keep, I mean, maybe I'm speaking for Kathleen, but to also keep from other things going into that building, right? So like not only can they be really choosy and picky on who they want, but they can also say no thanks to the people that are not really going to add value to the community, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a part of the motivation for the Board of Trustees making the decision to purchase that site was as the Economic Development Director sort of for the township, I was getting a lot of calls from out of town, out of state investors saying, we'd like to buy this site. Would the zoning permit a gas station? And you're kind of, no,
and you're like, aren't there two across the street?
With the zoning permit indoor self-storage, and we're like, oh man, this is just not what the community is asking us for. It's not something that we felt like was going to bring real value to the township and really to this portion of Hamilton County.
Yeah.
And you know, Winton Road being kind of the township's real business thoroughfare, we wanted something that was going to be a community asset and a draw to, again, people in this area. So that was the real impetus for the township saying, you know what, if we want to control what happens on this site, we have to own it. And it was a big leap for Springfield Township. You know, there are communities in this area that are starting to do more development. Places like the city of Hamilton, city of Cincinnati is a big one where they want to control what happens in a certain space, so they'll buy the property. This is the township's real kind of toe dip into that. And it was, a toe dip is not the right image. It was like a cannonball into, because this is a big site. Yeah. It was not a small price tag, but I think what we're hearing from the community is the excitement about it, and it's going to be worth it.
Well, and that was a selling point for HighGrain too. We saw a community that really, or a government body that really cared about their community, and not one that was like, I mean, I don't know, the investor from Chicago might give us a great deal, you know, but it was more about what do our people want? What do the people in this township want? And also, like you said, how is it going to better Greater Cincinnati too? Even outside of the township, you're offering something new and something really exciting to that community.
So that was my next question is, now we know how that started from the township's end. From your end, what looked appealing about that to you?
Everything. The township being able to like just have sit-down conversations and go back and forth about, well, this is what we're thinking. What are you thinking? This is kind of what we want to do. We're thinking about doing this, you know? And so being able to bounce ideas off each other that, again, create something for the community. We at HighGrain have always said, when we started in Silverton too, that we are more than a brewery. We do make really good beer. We have really good scratch-made food, and we have incredible employees. But we're more than just like that package deal, right? Like we want to be a spot that the community owns. And it's kind of like it does in Silverton. We have people that come in and work from the brewery. We have government officials from Silverton that we see on a daily basis. They're not there necessarily drinking. It's a spot for them to meet. So like we're creating that vibe already in Silverton, but we have an opportunity in Springfield Township to do something really unique. So everything about it was appealing. And to be honest, we just needed the space.
So tell me about your history as a brewery.
Yeah, we opened up in 2019 in Silverton. Great
right
time.
Before the pandemic.
Great time to open a business.
Perfect timing, yes.
Yeah, would recommend never doing that. No, but we had to pivot. So originally our whole trajectory was to be a brew pub. We were gonna make a small amount of beer here. We're never gonna can it. We're gonna have it on draft. We're gonna make really good food, and it's just gonna be a destination to come hang out. Well, when no one's allowed to go out and no one is communicating with anybody and no one's looking or seeing anybody, you have to create those opportunities. So we bought a canning line from a brewery in Colorado, and we started canning the beer because that's the only way you're going to get people to try it is when they go to the store to buy it. So we bought the canning line, and then we really quickly realized we really need to like make a presence. And so we got into Kroger and Jungle Gyms and all these bigger accounts that took a lot of work to get there, but once we did, we saw a ton of success. Things have been flying off shelves for us, which is a great sign when you're talking about beer. That means it's received well.
Yep.
And so as production has scaled up, we have run out of room.
Yeah.
You know, we've added tanks to the point where we have 2 tanks sitting outside that we're making beer through. And so it's not ideal. We're making it work, and it does work, but we needed a bigger building. So this was a production standpoint. That was the major move for us, but then we saw opportunity for really giving the community something unique. So.
Yeah.
So this building, of course, was a bowling alley.
Yeah.
Are there elements of that we'll still see?
That's a good question. So I want to be very clear, there is no bowling.
Right, okay, that's important to cover.
It is, because it is confusing, especially when us as HighGrain are like, we're going into old Brentwood Bowl, and people are like, sweet, bowling.
Right, they hear that, yeah.
Yeah, it was all sold off in auction.
Yeah, and that was already gone when you got there. They had already stripped out, and okay.
The only thing left was the really wild cosmic carpet, cosmic space carpet.
Kind of glow in the dark.
Yeah, kind of glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Probably can't really use that.
No, it was beautiful though. No, but then we had, a bunch of trophies that were still there, and tons of bowling pins and bowling balls, which was cool.
Oh, that's fun.
So we're taking elements of that building and the history of that building, and we're gonna use it. So like, we're not gonna trash the sign out front. We reached out to the American Sign Museum. It's actually not quite what they were time-wise what they're looking for.
Okay.
We still think it's awesome, so we're going to utilize it in the building somehow.
Oh, Oh, fun.
We have a ton of bowling pins. We're going to use those. Okay. So there's going to be some homage to the old spot.
Yeah.
We don't want to erase that history. It's an incredible spot.
I saw some footage of the building as you guys came in, and it clearly showed there was nothing left to bowl on.
No.
Yeah.
But it's still fun to know that element will be there because a lot of the residents grew up, like you said, spent a lot of time there. It's been part of the community.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that daycare comment was actually real. I mean, I have gotten so many people that have said, "Oh yeah, when I was like 8, I like hung out at the daycare," and I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that generally, I mean,
That's
when
amazing.
you think about that, that building has been used for so many purposes and in so many people's lives in different ways that it really is like a hub of that community.
Yeah.
So
it's really exciting to see the opportunity to bring new life to the building as a community hangout place again. You know?
And it is right in the middle of Springfield Township. It's right there where Compton hits Winton.
Yeah.
It's right there next to the administrative building and the fire station.
Right.
I mean, you don't want that vacant, and you don't want that being something that maybe doesn't enhance.
No, for
the
sure.
township.
Right.
Well, and to speak on location, I mean, for us, we did a little dive into what is Springfield Township. None of us are from there, so how do we like get a really quick glimpse of this community before we commit to it? Well, it's people that don't want to leave their community. They love it, so they're not leaving. New people are still coming in. They just want something to do.
Yeah.
And they're on this easily accessible road, so we're right there. We're also right next to our partners, Great Parks, who are, and I mean, like it's just a no-brainer location-wise too. So.
Yeah. So let's talk about the actual timeline.
Sure.
When are we going to get to go in?
It's a great question. No, we just like any construction, nothing goes according to plan.
Especially with a really old building like
Yeah.
that.
Oh, naturally.
I mean, it's 1960s, but it's
not
it's
new
old,
construction.
and
Yeah.
you know how it is
No,
when
yeah.
you like start peeling off like wallpaper at your house. If it's older, you're like, you find more problems the more things.
Yeah, you're
you
like,
peel
oh, that's
back.
underneath.
Yeah,
Got
right.
it.
Yeah,
Oh, now
right.
I thought this
Yeah.
was a short project.
Right.
This is a big
Yeah, this is turned
Well,
out to
and
be
it was
something
built
else,
to be a bowling alley,
Right,
So
right.
if you are familiar, when you pull into the parking lot, you look at it, the whole front of the building is really low, right?
Yeah.
Because that's when you walked in, that was the bar, the like party rooms and all the restaurants and all that stuff. Then you go into the bowling alley. Well, the bowling alley drops down, right? So it's dug into the ground, but then the ceiling's also higher. So you have these two elements of this building that are very restrictive in terms of construction too. So if you drive by Winton Road right now, you'll see one part of the building doesn't have a roof. We completely remove the roof. We have to raise it significantly so that all the tanks for our production side can fit in the building.
I was thinking about tanks when you were thinking about those low roofs.
Yeah, those roofs were a little too low.
Okay.
So those were always in the plan, but there's strategically challenging things to do. We're working through Furlong Construction. They're incredible. They've done breweries before. And so when we're running into these problems, and Kathleen and I and the guys at HighGrain are like, oh my, what are we going to do?
Yeah,
this is the worst thing possible. They're like, we've done this like 20 times, you're fine.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good to hear.
It's incredible,
it
right?
really is,
So that's been good. To answer your question though, we are being told early 2024. So I don't know necessarily what that means. I would love a January opening. Most likely it would be in the February timeframe, but once we know, we will, Springfield Township and HighGrain will blast that everywhere.
Yeah.
We'll make sure people
Okay, so folks should keep an eye on the HighGrain Facebook
social
page.
media. Yeah, we have Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff.
And then also, I know you post a lot of information on the Springfield Township social media, so Facebook page, all of those.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna remind folks, click follow on those, click like on those, because that's how they'll show up in your feed and you won't miss it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but I forget to look back.
Yeah.
If I don't do that, I forget
No, we
to-
totally use, I mean, we both use social media as an information tool. We want people to be informed and know what's going on. So,
And there's pictures as you go.
pictures, yeah.
And updates every week. So what's happening next?
Yeah.
So this is a brief overall update, but you can keep up to date by following those places.
Yeah, and HighGrain, we're about to post today some pictures that we took a couple days ago of the construction. So some update photos are coming.
And in the middle of winter, that's good. That's a good time to
Yeah,
open.
right?
We'll be ready to go out. We'll be ready to go
Yeah.
somewhere.
People will be feeling antsy.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that we can get on before the Super Bowl. We'll see. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've already got parties through the year planned. Like we're ready to create events and experiences for people.
So what are some of the things, before we wrap up, that folks can look forward to experiencing when they go to this newly open place at the beginning of 2024?
Yeah, for sure. A couple features that we have. We will have a full kitchen. So the same incredible quality food that you get in Silverton, you'll get there. Some new menu items, some different things, just because the capacity is so much larger than what we're currently working with. But still, really good food. We'll have a private event space that you can rent out. We will have an inside tap room. We'll have a covered patio area, and then also an uncovered patio area. We'll offer brewery tours, a lot of community events and things like that as well, markets, all that kind of fun stuff. So we've got a lot planned, and there's a lot of space.
Will the Silverton location still be open?
Totally, yeah.
Okay.
That's still, I mean, as much as we are going to
started.
be pretty much fully bought in Springfield Township, that's our home, Silverton, right? Like, we started there, that community immediately welcomed us in, and we're like, we can't wait for you to be here. And we were unproven. We had never made beer for people. We had never made food for people. And that community was like, bring it, let's do this.
And that was such a quick ramp up. I
It
mean,
was.
that is very impressive how quickly people said, yeah, we like this,
Yeah.
and now you need to grow.
Well, and that was an indicator for us too,
Yeah.
right? Like honestly, not that we don't want to share our product, but we didn't really want to grow initially. It was like I don't know if that's necessary. It's very necessary. yeah.
That was decided for you.
Yeah, it
Yes,
was, and,
it is
and we're
necessary.
very happy with that, right?
Yeah.
Like it was not the expectation moving in, but in a good way.
Yeah.
So
Well, I really appreciate the time you took to come
Yeah,
in here.
absolutely. Let's do it
I
again.
can't wait to share this with everyone so we can put it on our calendars and keep an eye out for
Totally.
the opening.
Yeah.
Love having another place to go hang out in Springfield Township and
Yeah.
not have to travel out of the
oh my
area.
gosh, yeah. Totally.
And I know there's more development, Kathleen, happening in the township all the time. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you keeping us in touch.
Yeah,
Look forward to
absolutely.
more programs doing that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And is there anything else we want to make sure residents know about this, about anything else before we stop?
From HighGrain, we're super excited to be
Yeah.
here. We can't wait. So as much as people are like, man, when are they going to open? We are the same way. We're like, when are we going to open?
good.
Come on,
Okay.
let's go. So
Okay.
we're pumped.
I think for the township, the cool thing about it is, if you recall the face of the Brentwood Bowl building, right on Winton Road, a number of years ago, we worked with Artworks to paint the mural on the side of the building. And the purpose for that was called a placemaking project, meaning that people may not know exactly all the geography of Springfield Township because it is kind of patchy. But you could say, well, do you know where the Creatious mural is? And, oh, yeah, I do know where that is. Oh, yeah. So it kind of helps people put a image to a place. This is sort of ironically now an extension of that mural. I mean, HighGrain's been really awesome, and they're going to be keeping that mural on the side of the building.
Yeah.
But it's just sort of an extension of that project. Now we can say, oh, well, you know where the second HighGrain is, or HighGrain 2.0 is? Yes, that's Springfield Township. So it sort of is morphing and growing even more.
I love that started with that art project to help the township have a designated spot that people could recognize.
Yeah.
And now that very same building is growing into something even more part of the township
Right.
because of the intentional way that you developed it
Yeah.
and the way that you're developing it for the community.
Totally.
So thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
And also, I'm going to come back to the fact that this all came out of you hearing from the community. They wanted to see something in the township. And the reason I'm bringing that up is you're doing that again right now. There's a
We
press
are.
right now to get input from the community to update your master facility plan.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that, Dana. We are still in the process of updating our comprehensive master plan, which really briefly is sort of the guiding document for the township as far as what residents would like to see in the future. Where do we want to see Springfield Township in 5 years? And time again, we keep hearing from residents that this was something that they really wanted. And it's good for the trustees to hear that input from residents as to what they want. It's good for staff to hear that, so we kind of know overall what decisions we should make. And so we're just really excited to be able to give this to the community.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone is hearing this and thinking, well, I wasn't in that last round,
Yeah.
and I didn't get to be part of that last bit of feedback,
Yeah.
this is the time they can be part of that feedback.
That's right.
They can find links on your Facebook page. They can find links on the township's website.
Right, yep.
So you can check that out. If there are other types of things you would like to see, this is a very comprehensive project. You've had a kickoff. You have multiple phases of it.
Yes.
So I just kind of want to end with that to make sure that folks know the time for feedback is not over. It's ongoing.
Totally.
That's right. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, that's
Same
exactly
for
right.
HighGrain too. I mean, things, if there are events and people and things that you want to see at HighGrain, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
We love hearing from people. So
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just a continuing project of hearing things in the community and what could we make happen.
Yeah.
Which is so much fun. Well, thank you again for
Yeah.
coming into the studio.
For sure.
Thank you,
And
Dana.
thank you for watching, because that means you want to make sure you know what's happening in Springfield Township.
That's right. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dana.